Hey guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel today to check the video out. You guys, today we're going to take a little departure from talking about techniques and lures, and I want to talk about something you can do. If you, say for example, you go out fishing and you expect certain things to work, like you sort of made a plan, you got your baits together, you decided what part of the lake you want to fish, and you get out there and nothing that you expected to be working is working. I'm going to talk about some adjustments that you can make to really bail out the day and save the day. So we're going to dig into that in today's video. And guys, that's one of the big things that is really critical in fishing, is you have got to be able to make on the water adjustments in order to consistently catch fish. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on that. And it is hot in the tackle room today, guys. It's about 97 degrees outside. Got the doors open here, and my shirt, you can't see it, but it is wet with sweat here. So anyway, we'll get on with the video. Before we get started, guys, two quick things. Just want to remind you, anybody interested in booking a private on-the-water one-on-one lesson with me, all you have to do is go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, shoot me a private message. And guys, a quick reminder, next week the sale ends, the biggest sale of the year that will ever be for the whole year. Ends next week on my Solar Bat Signature Series RB2 and 3 glasses. Right now you can get them at 50% off. They extended that big 250th anniversary sale. 50% off. I'll put the Solar Bat link in the description of the video. And if you use the promo code RandyB, you get free shipping and handling. We got 3 different frame colors, bunch of different lens colors. Optical clarity on these Solar Bats are second to none. Dr. Gary Nesty, who's an optometrist, owns the company, and he's also an avid bass angler. So you got the best of both worlds there, so appreciate that. Okay, guys, I'm going to walk outside. It's so dang freaking hot in the tackle room here. Get out there and try some of that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you can do if what you think is going to be working is not working. Now, this is one of the most frustrating things in fishing, man. It is, because, you know, how many times have you been out there and you got all hyped up and everything? You're excited to go out there and do some flipping or throw a swim bait or throw a topwater, and you get out there and it's just not working. And I've been there, I've done that. It happened to me a bunch of times, especially like one of the things that frustrates me, it's like, say for example, you know, the lake's high and the water's up in the bushes, and I'm all jacked up and excited because I think I'm gonna catch some flipping bushes. And I get down there and basically all I bought's flipping sticks with me, and I can't get a dang bite at all to save my life. So what can you do? What are adjustments that you can make? It doesn't matter what technique you're fishing. It could be, you know, shaky head, drop shot, Ned rig, whatever. If you expect it to work and it's not working, what are you going to do? Okay, there's a couple different things that you have to sort of think about before you really panic a little bit. A lot of times, the approach and the technique that you want to catch them is still going to work. You just may be in the wrong water for it. A lot of times just an area change is going to bail you out. Sometimes if you move either up or down the lake, there's going to be a slight change in water clarity for the most part. Most lakes, they have different water clarities on different parts of the lake. And sometimes the technique that you're fishing, you've got to have a set of water clarity conditions for that really to be optimal. I've seen this over and over again. So that's one of the first things that I do is let me give you a prime example of what I'm talking about here. I was fishing a tournament up at Lake of the Ozarks a couple of years ago. It was a late summer tournament, and I was convinced and I was completely focused on the fact I was going to catch them flipping docks. I was going to catch them on a jig flipping docks. So I spent half the day in this couple different creek arms flipping jigs on docks, and the only thing I caught was a few dinks. I couldn't hardly catch nothing. And I knew it was going to work. I mean, there was plenty cover. There was lots of docks. And I said, okay, I got to make a change. So I ran up the river just a little bit. And the next creek that I pulled into, instead of having like, you know, 1.5 feet of visibility where I started, this creek had about 8 inches of visibility. And I started fishing in that creek and started catching them. It's like, that's the only change I had to make. I expected flipping docks to work. I was just in the wrong water, and if I hadn't have made that area change, a lot of times I would just thought that they weren't biting, flipping a jig on docks. So change your area. That's going to make a big difference with that. The next thing you can do is make a bait change. A lot of times it just depends, you know, the mood and the personality of the fish. Sometimes they want a different bait profile. It can be a different profile. It can be a different color. try to make some type of a bait change. If you're convinced that you're going to catch them on a square bill crankbait, and you start out there with like a 1.5 sexy shad, square bill crankbait, instead of, giving up on it, giving up on everything you're doing, try something else. Try something maybe a little translucent, or try something a perch pattern, or try a blackback chartreuse, or try a little larger size. Go to a 2.5 instead of a 1.5, and possibly even adjust your retrieve. Maybe you're fishing it with some type of a, medium retrieve, speed it up to like a fast retrieve. Just experiment a little bit, and it doesn't take long. It's like if you're around an area that's got some fish in it, when you make an adjustment, it's going to pay off probably within, 20 or 30 minutes. So that's sort of the rule. I usually have this 20-minute rule on experimentation. That's going to be a really big deal with you. And then sometimes if nothing's working and nothing you thought was going to work, sometimes you have to just completely shift gears and you have to just start from scratch again. I've done this several times. I've had several situations where I fished half a day and I can't catch nothing. I maybe experiment with just everything I just told you, and I still can't catch them. Sometimes at that point, I just get down in the boat and I said, okay, we're gonna switch gears completely. I'm gonna dig out a completely different rod selection. I'm gonna completely change 180 from what I'm doing. If I was fishing a bunch of slow baits, I'm gonna move to reaction baits. If I was fishing reaction baits, I'm gonna move to slow baits. So change up, your lure selection completely and go to a different part of the lake. That is the basic thing that you can do that's going to save you, because the fish are always biting somewhere. Don't ever get sucked into this thing that, the fishing's tough today, they're not biting. Somebody always catches them. So a lot of times you just have to go through a process of elimination, and that's what bass fishing is. Bass fishing is a constant hunt, and it's a constant eliminating options until you narrow it down to a few that are working. So, guys, that's just a few things that's helped me out. I hope it helps you guys out. We'll talk later.